Okay, Ty, we ready to go? All right, everyone. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this Monday, September 11th meeting to order, and I'd like to open with the words, never forget. Okay, it's 6 o'clock, as I said. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Marks.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if you'll all remain standing, we do have an invocation by Pastor Malcolm McPhail of New Hope Community Church.
I think all of us are reminded and have been reminded all day of the significance of September 11th. And I appreciated the mayor starting this time off with never forgetting. My words will be short, but I do want to take a moment for us to take a moment of silence in just a moment. I recently read a quote from the wife of the pilot of Flight 93, which crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania on September 11th. She wrote, "If we learn nothing else from this tragedy, we learn that life is short and there is no time for hate." Tonight, 22 years later, may we be reminded of the tremendous loss, the first responders who perished trying to rescue the many thousands that perished, all those killed in this attack on our nation. We also remember the many family members who grieve this tremendous loss of loved ones. We vow to never forget. Let's take a moment of silence in recognition of their loss. O God of all nations, may your favor be with our great nation as we remember the tragic attack in America. May your comfort and healing and strength guide us forward, and may we always remember that love always triumphs over evil. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Be seated. Okay, City Clerk's report on posting the agenda, followed by roll call.
Yes, Madam Mayor. The agenda was posted on Thursday, September 7th at 1:27 p.m. Councilmember Armendariz?
Here.
Councilmember Bracco? Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Hilton is absent. Councilmember Marks?
Here.
Councilmember Tovar?
Here.
And Mayor Blinkley?
Here. All right, thank you. Under orders of the day, we have none. Under employee introductions, we have two. Chief Wyatt, would you like to start? And then it'll be followed by Carl Bjerke.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. I'm proud to introduce our latest new hires, Fire Division Chiefs. Both of them come from our metro neighbor in the north. They bring with them a wealth of knowledge, skills, and experience that will help make our city a safer place to live. The first one I'd like to introduce is Fire Division Chief Gary Laird. Chief Laird was born and raised in the city of Martinez. He moved to Livermore in 1997 and is married to his wife Elizabeth for the past 12 years. And he has an 11-year-old daughter named by the name of Peyton. He started his fire service career with Contra Costa Fire Protection District in 1988 as a reserve firefighter. He then got a full-time position at Yuba City Fire Department in 1995. And then eventually, a year later, got hired on with San Jose Fire Department as a firefighter paramedic in 1996. He worked through the ranks from firefighter paramedic to fire engineer, fire captain, and battalion chief. He was there for a total of 26 years and handled 2 administrative assignments at the Fire Training Academy. He's also a member, or was a member, of the FEMA Rescue Task Force 3 from 2015 to 2022, and his positions include both rescue and planning. He's also currently a fire service instructor, state fire training instructor, as well as a fire service instructor for the South Bay Public Safety Consortium. His education includes 2 degrees, an AS degree in, or 2 AS degrees, one in fire technology and one in paramedicine. And he has a Bachelor of Arts with Business Economics from the University of Santa Barbara. His interests include outdoor activities such as mountain biking, backpacking and hiking, and gardening. And he'd like to say a few words.
Honorable Mayor and Council, thanks for the opportunity to continue my career here in Gilroy. I've worked here the last several months. I've really enjoyed working here, and I look forward to a long and productive career. Thank you.
Welcome and thank you.
The second Fire Division Chief I'd like to introduce is Arlen Summers. Arlen was born and raised in the city of San Jose. He earned his AS degree in fire science at Mission College. Following college, he worked 2 summers at CAL FIRE Santa Clara County Unit. He started working for the San Jose Fire Department in 1996 and was promoted through the ranks to battalion chief in 2018. He has been involved with critical incident stress management teams since 2001 and has assisted with peer support around the Bay Area. He developed and taught a new curriculum for newly promoted fire engineers and became a wildland officer in 2016, where he helped bring Type 3 engines, an off-road driver training program, revised wildland policies, and updated the mutual aid policy for overhead and strike team engine response. He's also a member of the South Bay Incident Team, assisted locally with the Loma Fire, the Ballybunion Fire, the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting, and the Cruise Fire. Arlen has completed his Bachelor of Science in Fire Administration earlier this year. Prior to coming to the Gilroy Fire Department, he held the position of Assistant Fire Marshal for the City of San Jose. Chief Summers' family moved to Gilroy in 2007, and they currently live in the Sunrise District, not too far from where I live. Arlen has been married to his wife, Ashley, for almost 25 years. They have 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. Dawson is now at San Jose State University. Ben is attending Gavilan College. And Emily has entered her junior year of homeschooling. Arlen attends church in town where he leads vocally and plays guitar as a music director. He also enjoys high-adventure backpacking, road trips with his family, golfing, playing music. He's excited to serve the department, city, and community of Gilroy as a new Fire Division Chief.
Mayor and City Council, thank you so much for honoring us this evening and allowing us to say a few words of appreciation and thanks. As you heard, I've raised my kids here. Really looking forward to operating at a high level as the Fire Division Chief to work hard for you, the city, citizens, the community, the members of the department, and all public servants that are working hard for the city. So, again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, Carl.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the Council. Carl Biarki, Interim Public Works Director. I want to introduce the newest maintenance worker in our, come on up, Michael, Streets, Wastewater and Trees Division. This is Michael Guerra. Prior to joining the city, Michael was a route sales representative for Aramark Uniform Services, and in that job he learned a lot about customer service, and we picked up on that, and we're happy to have that skill set. Michael also has a background in the aesthetic maintenance of residential and commercial properties, which will serve the city well with our streets and trees division there. So Michael lives in Los Baños with his wife and his 2 sons. I believe they're over there. You want to have a stand up there? I got to meet them. So anyway, Michael, that's Michael family came over from Los Baños tonight. That was really nice. So I want to thank them for coming and introduce Michael. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to serving the community.
Yay. Thanks. Okay, those are always fun. We move on to ceremonial items, and I have 2 proclamations. Is Alyssa here? Okay, I'll meet you at the podium right there. Just put those down. And fine, I'll just grab this. Okay, Alyssa is from Jacob's Heart, and this proclamation goes like this. Whereas the character of our community is revealed in how we treat our most vulnerable, and whereas cancer remains the leading cause of death by disease among children, more than asthma, diabetes, cystic fibrosis, congenital anomalies, and AIDS combined. And whereas nonprofit organizations serving South Santa Clara County, such as Jacob's Heart, have been keeping medically fragile children and families housed, fed, and emotionally supported, and whereas the oncology department at Lucille Packard Children's Hospital at Stanford recognizes Jacob's Heart as a trusted community partner in providing family-centered care that addresses the emotional, practical, and financial struggles of families of children with cancer in South Santa Clara County. And whereas it is important for all Gilroy City residents to recognize the impact of pediatric cancer on families within our community and honor the children in our community whose lives have been cut short by cancer. Now, therefore, I, Marie Blankley, Mayor of the City of Gilroy, on this 11th day of September, 2023, together with the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I'm going to shake your hand, and would you like to say a few words, and then we'll take a picture?
Please.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alyssa, and I'm here as a representative of Jacob's Heart Children's Cancer Support Service. Thank you, Mayor Blankley and Council, for proclaiming September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. With the community's continued support, we can make sure that no family goes through pediatric cancer alone.
Yay.
Thank you.
That's for you.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. So fun. Okay, and next is Andrew Young? Oh, you're back there? Andrew's going to accept this proclamation on behalf of the city. This is for National Preparedness Month. Whereas across the nation, September has been designated as National Preparedness Month to encourage all Americans and communities to prioritize emergency preparedness. And whereas National Preparedness Month is led by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and is sponsored by its Ready campaign promoting preparing for older adults for 2023. And whereas all Gilroy citizens are urged to prepare for disasters and encourage their family and friends to do so by visiting FEMA's Ready campaign at ready.gov for essential preparedness resources. And whereas the City of Gilroy is committed to promoting community resilience through partnership development to improve awareness and educate citizens about preparing their homes, businesses, and communities for any type of emergency, including natural, technological, and human-caused, thereby reducing social and economic impacts in our community. And whereas when citizens working together with the government take responsibility for preparing their families and their communities, community resilience is improved after a disaster. And whereas ongoing emergency preparedness is the responsibility of every citizen, and as such, all citizens are urged to make preparedness a priority and work together as a team to ensure that individuals, families, and communities are prepared for disasters and emergencies of any type. Now, therefore, I, Marie Blankley, Mayor of the City of Gilroy, on this 11th day of September, 2023, together with the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as National Preparedness Month. You want to say anything? It's up to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Council, for bringing this to the attention of the public. It's extremely important that we bring awareness to the importance of preparedness. We don't know when, where, and to what extent impacts of disasters will affect us. And with the natural disasters increasing in frequency, severity, and intensity, investments we make as a community in terms of preparedness will promote resilience. Simple actions towards preparedness that we take now can make a big difference during and after a disaster. Thank you.
All right, photo. Teamwork. There you go. All right, thank you. All right, thanks everybody for that. Okay, we move on to the annual presentation to the council from the Library Commission, and that's going to be Victoria, yes? Or okay, this is item 3.1 for those following on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. Thank you so much for making space for the Library Commission to share our work plan. So I am currently the chair of our commission, and I'm happy to be representing our vice chair, Saeed Nushabadi, Gabriella Kim, and Sumana Reedy. So our work plan includes reviewing and providing feedback to the Santa Clara County Library System regarding library services and programs that are offered in Gilroy, and continuing to serve as advisory and liaison to the City Council. And I'd like to take this moment and just thank Adam and our community librarian and Harjo for all the support that they give us during our commission meetings that helps to guide our work. We will be participating this year in the annual California Library Association Conference to learn about the latest trends in the public library system, and to also network with other library commissioners and boards for ideas. And that'll be in June of 2024. We'll be sending one of the library commissioners. And I'm also recognizing the funds from the latest budget cycle that you guys approved. Thank you very much. We will continue to promote the Commission's purpose and library system to increase interest among prospective applicants to serve as commissioners. And that is one of our top agenda items at our commission meeting this Wednesday, because we do have a space available on our commission. And if anyone wants to be on the Library Commission, please join us Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And we'll continue to provide recommendations to City Administrator and the City Council regarding potential capital improvements. In thinking about the bond fund from 2008 that the voters passed, we continue to discuss that and how we can offer guidance to the City Council. We also are going to continue to identify needs in our conversations with county librarians about how we can support staff and the Gilroy community, and also to make sure that services are brought to our children and families that need them most. I would now like to introduce Cassandra Wong, our community librarian, who's going to share about library services. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all again. So, some updates for our community, just to keep you in the loop of more of what we do. Our strategic plan was approved for the years 2023 through 2028. It's a 5-year plan, and our kind of founding mission, or our statement that we're really looking forward to following, is one of you belonging, you connecting, and you discovering what's here in your own neighborhood and in your community. We really look forward to creating new outreach opportunities and partnering. I have to say, I've worked at a lot of libraries, and the Gilroy community is so well suited and so caring when it comes to the community itself. It really takes care of its own. So working with all these community-based organizations and finding new opportunities is something that I'm so excited to do, and I think Gilroy does really well. So we'd like to continue that work. We have a commitment for welcoming spaces through innovative design. We're actually looking at a renovation and an update of our children's spaces. We know that Gilroy is a family-oriented community, a multi-generational family community. So we want to make sure that we're looking forward and creating a library space that's not only effective now, but will be here in 5 years, in 10 years, and will still be that supportive, welcoming, wonderful space that we know it can be. And also, we're looking to make sure that we continue our commitment to our patrons, that we represent them well, compassionately, and making sure our programs are reflective of our community. We really want to also hear and receive and hopefully provide the services that the patrons are asking for. So your feedback as the public and as our elected representatives is really important to us. So we really want to keep those lines of communication open, and we look forward to serving you for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, generations to come. So if there are any questions, I think maybe Victoria can take the floor on that. But I'm here for backup if you have any other specifics.
Okay, council members, any questions? No. Seeing none, thank you. Very, very nice report. Great. Thank you. Okay, now we move on to 3.2, which is public comment for members of the public who wish to comment on anything not on tonight's agenda but within our subject matter jurisdiction. And
yes, Madam Mayor, I have 2 speaker cards currently. The first is Ron Kirkish, followed by Robert Cepeda.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and community. First of all, 2 things. One is that was a very nice job you did at the rodeo. And also, number 17, that will be going up on next door. The reason I'm here tonight is because I got a few people that were concerned about the progress at the Gourmet Alley and where is it at. And I've since found out that our departed Public Works Director, Darrell Jordan, told a few people before he left that the real groundbreaking for Gourmet Alley is going to be sometime in November, and that they hope to get it done by June, but they think that there can be an extension if it isn't made. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I was told. Others are concerned. They think that with El Nino coming, and if we have another rainy season like we had last time, that we might miss the opportunity to properly spend the $3.9 million. So I just wanted to bring that all to your attention, that there is concern about that. And I understand that I might be stepping on the city administrator's talking thing, because even though it's not on the agenda, I was told that he might be speaking to this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker.
Robert Cepeda.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and community. I am here today to speak just about something that I found concerning. Well, one, I do know that I am thankful to see everyone here. I know it's Monday Night Football, and though I'm not a fan of football, my brother is, but it's interesting because if people took a little more dedication to their local government and city, as much as they did when they go to football games and tailgating, our situation in this country would be a lot different. Anyway, I wanted to speak on behalf of a current bill that was passed in Sacramento, so it will affect us as well, regarding firearms. It was AB 28, and it's regarding that vendors and dealers are to now pay an additional 11% tax on guns and ammunition to fund violence prevention efforts. And I'm sure some of you are aware of currently in New Mexico, the governor had called for a restriction, to put it nicely, on firearms. Now, I do have a problem with that, and that's because, it only affects law-abiding citizens that own firearms. And we see this again and again in history. And as we recognize 9/11, tyranny has settled in the globe many times. And many tyrants have done this over and over again, just to name a few. Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Mao, Fidel Castro, Hugo Chavez, and all these individuals, the first thing they do is take guns away. They take away the right to defend, for people to defend themselves, and then from there they cannot express their opinions, whether you agree with them or not. And slowly but surely I see this happening in our country. And we should prevent that. It's frightening to me. I don't know if it's to others. They might not recognize that. But if we look back in history, we will see again and again what may happen if we do not do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to remind the public, when on this item on the agenda, it's for items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of this City Council. So I would just ask everybody to please stick to things that we here on this council could be entertaining, if you could, instead of national law and state law. Okay. Everything in the world affects us, but our subject matter jurisdiction is all we have the authority to do. So that's all I'm asking. Okay. On item 4.1, which is where we're moving, City Council training. This is on our roles and responsibilities during an emergency, operation activation, and Jimmy is going to provide this training.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. It's quite appropriate for National Preparedness Month that we take some time to discuss with Council roles and responsibilities during emergency operations. We as staff do constant training almost on a monthly basis about what to do for wildland fires, flooding, any other natural or unnatural event we could have. So we spend a lot of time on it, but there are many instances where we don't spend time with Council to try to talk about how we handle some of these situations. So we're going to spend a few minutes tonight talking about some best practices and ways that Council best helps communities during emergency operations. We've certainly been through a few of them in the last 5-10 years. The city is vulnerable to multiple hazards, including but not limited to wildfires, flooding, earthquakes, and severe weather. Elected officials have a crucial role in disaster preparedness, response, mitigation, recovery, and community resilience. Before a disaster, we all should be getting prepared. And as Andrew Young, our EOC coordinator, stated, preparedness actually makes the response a lot easier. And so understanding what our local hazards and hazards mitigation are. We do annual drills on flooding and wildland fires because we know those are the most likely types of events. And so when we do have those types of events, we know exactly what to do. Know your role when a disaster occurs. We train our staff, each one of them, to know where they should be and what they do during the disaster and what backup plans we have for those roles. Make preparedness a priority. It is not the most exciting part of the job for a bunch of our staff members to be in training for hours about disasters, but we all have learned that time spent ahead of time pays off during the event. And then learn about emergency management and assistance programs, both through logistics and financial programs. The city's received lots of assistance in both those areas over the course of the last few years. And then encourage collaboration and coordination at all government levels. We are a bit of an island here in South County. We do not touch another city, but we certainly need help from Morgan Hills, San Jose, even our neighbors from farther south. If we do have an emergency and vice versa, we help them. So it's important for us to keep those relationships going. Obtain emergency management or leadership training. Most of us in the city staff have been through formal training, myself included, to get better at that role and to understand how we can best help the community. And then lastly, a lot of people may not know this, but City of Gilroy employees are legally required to be disaster service workers. So not only are they employees, they have to come when mobilized to assist. And so that's some of our legal responsibilities as employees of your city. Okay, during a disaster, we spend a lot of time on support and maintaining situational awareness and staying informed. We provide support and work with emergency management officials, that could be at the state, county, or local level, and then serve as a conduit between constituents and the Emergency Operations Center. One of the most important roles that council has is the face of the community. They are able to communicate in different manners, different methods, because you know people. And we learned during COVID-19 that not everybody was on social media. And so we had to adjust our communication approach and think of different ways to do that. And our council members are really helpful in getting us connected to the rest of the community. Visit impacted areas in coordination with the EOC director. You see this all the time for a national or state level disaster. The governor or the president will visit the site. That is twofold. That is, one, to be seen supporting the event, and two, to also learn what's going on and what is being done about that situation. So that is a role that is definitely in line with our elected officials. And then assist constituents in informing, sharing, and solving disaster-related problems. Many of you get a hold of me when we have somebody who needs help, and so you knowing where to find that help for them is really a good thing for our residents. Following a disaster, leadership, understanding disaster assistance programs, providing community support. Again, serving as the conduit between constituents and government. Government can be a bit confusing, hard to maneuver, and any help that you can give your constituents, they generally appreciate that. Identify future mitigation opportunities. So we Monday morning quarterback a lot of what we've done, or what we've learned, and what we could do better, and that's a role for the electeds as well. And then implement special initiatives to support economic recovery. Almost every natural disaster has a physical, economical impact, and so the recovery from the economic impact tends to be a lot longer and slower. And for instance, COVID-19, the city had many programs to try to help businesses and residents recover from that financial, hurt. And then ask questions. The recovery process and programs can be long and complex, and learning and asking questions and understanding how we can do better the next time is a good role for everybody. Preparedness as a priority. This might be the most important paragraph of the entire presentation, and I won't read it verbatim, but as a concept, you want your community to be able to be self-supported for 72 hours. So if we unfortunately do have an earthquake and we lose our water system or we lose our electrical, if our community could be able to take care of themselves for about 72 hours, it is a big difference. If they can't take care of themselves from the beginning, then it strains the system, it overwhelms it. But having 2 to 3 days for us as leaders to get organized even more, pool our resources. So definitely encourage you to have those things in your home, a bag, soup, bottled water, things like that, where if we can't get to you and we need time, you have a little bit of ability to sustain yourself. And that really gives us that springboard into recovery. So that would be the biggest piece of advice we would say to anybody, regardless if you're elected or appointed or a resident. Be prepared for 72 hours. Managing emergencies. Council's role is to staff the policy group function. That's a fancy way of saying you still do your council job. You just focus more on emergency situations. And so coordinate with the EOC director, which is me, and then or their designee. And then we support interagency coordination, which elected officials are really good about finding where our help is. Through your contacts, through those you've worked with before, in a lot of ways a lot better than we as staff can be. And then make policy and financial decisions. Make strategic decisions, especially for a long-term emergency. And then determine priorities and long-term incident planning. Work with legal to provide guidance. There's a lot of money out there from FEMA and other federal agencies to reimburse cost, but the federal government is adamant about paperwork and legal documentation to receive those funds. Consider cultural, economic, political, and social implications and communicate unmet needs. And then produce documents including, but not limited to, emergency declarations to promote community safety and recovery. Elected officials will staff this function from the council chambers or an alternate location if this building is not available. Local emergency declaration. I've been asked before by residents who gets to determine what a local emergency is. I'm going to read this. This is from the city's charter. If a local government determines effects of an emergency are beyond the capability of local resources to mitigate effectively, the local government must proclaim a local emergency. The purpose of a local emergency proclamation is to provide extraordinary police powers, immunity for emergency actions, authorize the issuance of orders and regulations, activate pre-established emergency provisions, and is a prerequisite to request state or federal assistance. So if we are overwhelmed and we need help from the state of California or the federal government, they won't listen to us until we declare a local emergency. Very important. And at that time, we would most likely operate the Emergency Operations Center, and that's where all the staff work comes into play for incident response, planning, field operations, executive decision making. These emergency operations centers are pretty standard. They use some emergency management system software, national incident management system software, so we all speak the same language, and it also helps us when we need to submit for reimbursements that the groups we were using for resources all use the same types of systems. Emergency public information. There's nothing more important probably right after health and safety is public information. The provision of timely, accurate, and consistent information is crucial during a disaster. The city administrator will regularly share information with the council to keep them informed and to help them connect with their constituents. All media requests and releases must be coordinated through the city's emergency public information officer, and that first person is Rochelle, but we do have backups as well. If Rochelle's not here, she's out of town, we do have people who are trained in getting this information out. And then the EPIO will coordinate with the mayor as the city spokesman during emergencies to deliver critical information. General responsibilities of the council, again, during the emergency, proclaim or ratify a local emergency, make policy decisions, serve as a conduit between constituents and government, serve as a conduit between city and other governments, assist in problem solving within the community, provide policy guidance and leadership, collaborate with the Director of Emergency Services, and provide direction for disaster recovery through council action. Emergency checklist for our elected officials, appointed, and our residents is one, always check in with your family first. And then for our staff, we have them report to designated location as instructed. If we have a natural disaster or such and council wants to meet, we'd most likely meet in here. And during the fact that we would be declaring a local emergency, we would be able to make some adjustments to the Brown Act as well for notification and noticing. That's why that local emergency is so important. We are knowingly breaking the law at that point. It has been suspended due to the emergency. Check in with the EOC director upon arrival for initial briefing, and then anticipate regular updates. And then call emergency city council meeting if necessary, and then proceed to impacted areas in close coordination with the EOC director to be the face of government. We will most likely have shelters, local assistance centers. I've worked with some of you in some of those issues, and people like to see their electeds. It makes them feel like somebody's really looking out for them and very concerned about their situation. Provide support to constituents and identify any issues or unmet needs. As we said, we route all media requests to the EOC PIO. And then getting back to the original question, the city administrator may claim if city council may make an emergency declaration if council is not in session. However, the city council must ratify that proclamation within 7 days, review the need for continuing proclamation, and then every 21 days proclaim the termination and then proclaim the termination of the local emergency as conditions warrant. If you remember COVID, we always had the standing item every month that we would continue the emergency. That went on for over a year, I believe. Okay, finishing up. host and accompany dignitaries and government officials touring the impacting disaster area in coordination with the Director of Emergency Services, and then develop and approve resolutions to support emergency response and recovery, and then initiate formal requests for emergency government disaster relief and recover of operations funding. The majority of those actions have to be done by the council. That's not a staff level type of thing, so we would need your support. Okay, that concludes my presentations. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Our EOC coordinator, Andrew Young, is here as well. There he is, in the back, and this is his thing. This is what he does every day, so he can be your technical advisor here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right, council, questions? No one has any questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Jimmy. I know this was a big deal for those of us who were on the council in 2019. We learned just how much we didn't know and how, not that we weren't prepared, we just as council members are not trained in emergency stuff. And when you're, not panicked, but things are emotional, and it's very hard to just stop and think clearly. So this is a very good idea for all of us to prepare in advance, no matter what the emergency is. Okay, that brings us to council member reports, starting with Council Member Bracco.
Nothing to report.
Council Member Armendariz.
No report.
Council Member Marks.
No report.
Council Member Hilton is absent. Council Member Klein.
No report.
Council Member Tovar.
No report.
Okay, well, I have a report on the subject of increasing public transportation ridership. Two things. At the last VTA board meeting, we added a policy that all future VTA transit-oriented developments would require housing developers to purchase 2 years' worth of smart passes for each household. TOD developments are market rate housing and affordable housing, so this policy was not solely to purchase things for those who may not be able to afford them, but it was about enticing all transit-oriented development residents to consider using public transportation. And secondly, the fourth weekday train service to Gilroy begins on Monday, September 25th. A press release will go out tomorrow. All council members will receive ways that you can help publicize this. The change adds an AM train departing at 7:29 a.m. and changes PM arrival times to 5:19, 5:40, 6:17, and 6:40 p.m. All of the City Council for Gilroy and Morgan Hill and the public are invited to join me, Morgan Hill Mayor Mark Turner, City staff, VTA, Caltrain. We're trying to make the biggest deal possible of this on Monday morning, the 25th of September at 7 a.m. at the Gilroy Transit Center. And more hype on that to come as 9/25 approaches. Lastly, I want to announce the expansion of services at St. Louis Hospital to now include sexual assault forensic examination. Thankfully, survivors of such assault from South County need no longer endure the added trauma of lengthy travel while trying to cope with unbearable circumstances already. That's my report, and that brings us now to council correspondence. Those are in our packets. And then future council initiated agenda items.
Regarding, if I could, Mayor?
Are you back on where?
Council initiated agenda item?
Yes.
I read the letter from the Open Government Commission, and I would like to see us agendize that. I think there's folks, we have a lot of commuters, a lot of working families, and then also folks who have disabilities that limit them from participating in person or just viewing our meetings. So I would love to hear what their findings are in terms of the study they did, and I'd like to see that agendized.
Okay. So can I see a thumbs up for who would like to see this agendized? I see 3. What do we need when we only have 6?
We still need 4.
Okay. Okay. It's not being agendized. I have one. This might fail too. I don't know. But given all of the investment that's going on downtown, I would like to ask if this council would like to have on a future agenda a discussion of reprioritizing where updating the downtown specific plan comes in. It will, of course, mean that something else is going to have to give, right? Jimmy's already explained that to all of us. But right now, that's set to come back in about 2 years. And we can't discuss it. That's why I'm asking to be able to discuss it on a future agenda, whether or not we want to see that sooner, initiate that sooner than later, because it's going to take a year to do. It's a mini general plan thing. You have to go out to the public and everything. So we need 4 people.
Clarify what you're asking for again, Mayor?
To update the downtown specific plan.
Mm-hmm. To update it, not a report back on it.
Not a
On
report
where
back,
we're
no,
at.
to actually start an update process. Well, I mean, that's what we would be discussing.
Yeah.
Updating
Yeah.
that process.
I'll support that.
So that needs 4, and it does. Okay, so that one moves forward. All right. Consent calendar. I'll first ask if any council members would like to remove anything from consent. Okay, Councilmember Tovar.
Mayor, I would like to pull item 8.2 and 8.4.
Okay, 8.2 and 8.4 are removed. Let me go to public comment. Do we have any comment on the other items?
I received no speaker cards on any of these
Okay.
items, Madam Mayor.
Then I would first ask, I'm looking for a motion to approve 8.1, 8.3, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, made by Councilmember Klein, seconded by Councilmember Bracco. Roll call.
Councilmember Medeiros?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton is absent. Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blinkley.
Yes. Okay, so then we'll take these one at a time. 8.2. Do we have any public comment on this first?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Tovar, would you like to?
Sure. Thank you. For item 8.2, release of unclaimed checks. So in the staff report, it states that you attempted to contact the individuals by mail. And I know it's a small amount overall, but by mail with forms to fill out. But in the list, I noticed that there are many payees that you provided, and many of these individuals may either be Hispanic or non-English speaking individuals. So my question for you is, are we providing communication in English and Spanish when this goes out? I have several questions, so that's my first one. Also, are we attempting to call these individuals or just mailing something out? Because again, I know in the report it says after 3 years, but as you know, people can move, phone numbers change, whatever it may be. So A, is there communication both English and Spanish? B, what are we doing outside of mailing these forms? And then 3 is how long did we wait to contact these individuals? And the reason why I ask, and again, I know it's a small amount, but you look in there, and for example, there's a citizen where combined a check is for $1,500, and maybe not for many, but for me, that's a good significant amount of money. So if you can answer those questions, just so I can get a better sense.
Sure. Yeah. Harjo Sang, I'm the finance director with the city of Gilroy. So I'll go ahead and kind of take your questions in order. So as far as the communications go, so when we identify these checks that are outstanding, we definitely make an attempt to reach out to them via phone. Or reach out to them via basically a notification via mail that indicates that they have an outstanding check, which is their last known mail address, in hopes that they have, if they have relocated, that they have and some sort of a forwarding with the post office or such. And then we also include in there are the instructions and the form that they need to complete to submit basically their signature that they are the claimant. And then we would go through a review process, internally to go ahead and release those. As far as the any kind of communication in Spanish, we don't have any direct notifications to say that the letter is converted in Spanish language or not, but it is mailed out in English.
Okay. And then part 3 of that, how long do we wait before these individuals are notified? So if we're getting them 3 years, are we waiting until year number 3?
No, we do. This is a semi-annual process, so we attempt to do every 6 months or so, and then we usually have checks. We have pretty good success rate, so there's a lot of items that actually, we're able to make contact and remit those, or reissue the checks and such. Even through this process, we're able to capture a lot of folks actually submit a claim, so we're able to do that as well. So every 6 months, we review the list, make phone calls, and this is essentially the last step.
Okay. Well, and I'll share my concern, obviously.
Sure.
Again, I know it's a total of $3,500. It's going back to the general fund. But given that we're not, we're doing a mailing, right, in hopes that they return it. And I believe you said we're also making a phone call, but we don't know if phone numbers have changed. So I am not going to support this because, A, we should have multiple languages, not just one language, because, again, I don't know if these individuals understand what we're sending them. Then we also, I believe in there says that we put something in the local newspaper. Most people that I talk to don't read our local newspaper. So I think there's a disconnection here in regards to how we're notifying folks. And again, some of these checks are $19, $100, but when you have someone we owe $1,500, that's a good amount of money. And if we're not notifying folks properly, and I say properly because it's only in English, and I don't know how often, you said we're doing it every 6 months, but for us not to, even on social media, easy, we can find folks that may have moved, different phone number. So again, I'm not going to support that. I think in the future we need to do a better job of this. And if it's by locating folks on social media, whatever it may be, because again, sending something out in the mail, who knows what happens with that.
Yeah, so I thank you. I really appreciate the feedback, and I think as far as the notifications, enhanced notifications, we can certainly take that and put that on our list to possibly include any kind of PIO communications. But the process at this point, we believe we go through this every 6 months. We make a reasonable attempt to make contact, and then this proceeding really is following the law and what the law requires. And the law requires us to do the notification. But I certainly recognize your recommendations to perhaps we enhance and improve that process.
Yeah.
So,
And I'll end it with my concern or my disappointment is knowing the demographics of the city, having multiple languages should be a priority. So, okay, thank you.
These are outstanding checks, right? These are checks that people have received and have never cashed.
Yes.
That's what these are. These are, just so we're clear.
These are checks that people should receive.
No,
these
that
are
we
checks
sent out to them.
Yes.
They've gotten them, but we're not sure if they've gotten them.
They haven't been cashed.
Right.
They haven't been cashed.
Right, and that could mean that they never received them.
But
So,
if they're,
I'm just
if
saying,
they know,
sure.
especially if it's $1,500, would
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm
you
saying.
would go after it. Okay,
Thank you.
so that's 8.2. Do we want to vote on?
I had my hand up, Mayor.
I'm sorry. I did not see that.
So I appreciate Councilmember Tovar's bringing up these issues. I think that the notification law and those requirements, I think they're antiquated. Are those state?
Those are, yes.
Those are state. And so I know that other state and local agencies send that money or send those checks to the state controller. Is that true?
Yes, there is a process. You could also cheat, but the law also allows this board, the local boards to escheat them to its own general fund. That's the process we follow.
I know private businesses and state and local agencies send the money or the funds over to state controller for them to disperse them if folks request them.
I believe that's the cheatment process for typically private entities such as like insurances, banks, any kind of deposit box and things of that nature after there's a set of guidelines for them.
And so we have the option to do that? Not a requirement, but an option?
I'd have to take a look and talk to our city attorney's office to see if we're able to, we're required to do that. I don't think so. I think local governments have set guidelines which we're adhering to in this process.
Okay. But I do think that our lack of a policy requiring things be sent out in another language, given the amount, right, the population of our community and folks who are monolingual, is also antiquated. I know that's not in your it's not in your lane, right? But I think that is something that we need to work on. And I'd like to see us attempt to send it through the state controller's office, so folks will still have access through it through those means.
Sure, we can certainly look into that as well. But I recognize again. I think from a dual language, we can certainly do dual mailing in Spanish and English. But if it's going to the same mailing address, I'm not sure if we're getting to the individual. But I certainly recognize Councilmember Tovar's recommendation to perhaps include it in our communications as a added notification to the newspaper and such.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other council member who would like to speak? I do see Councilmember Armendariz is here on my screen. Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve 8.2. seconded by Councilmember Klein. Roll call vote.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Just
Okay.
give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Armendariz?
No.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
No.
And Mayor Blankley?
Yes. All right, that passes 4-2. Okay, and now 8.4, Councilmember Tovar, you had another.
Yeah, thank you. So 8.4 is a city council meeting schedule, and thank you for including the calendar with the observed holidays highlighted in gray. But in the future, I asked that if we can list the actual observed holidays listed, because here they're highlighted in gray, and we may not know what these holidays are, so we can list that. And the reason why I asked is, for example, as you know, we now observe Cesar Chavez Day, and I know next year it's on the 31st, it's on a Sunday, but are we planning on observing that on a different day, or
On
is
April
that,
1st.
Right, okay.
It's on there.
Okay, no, I know, but I'm saying if we can have it listed somewhere, unless I missed it.
You did, because it's in our, I'm sorry, it's in our packet.
Okay.
It has the exact meeting dates, the calendar for our meetings, and it shows that our meeting will be on April 8th instead of April 1st because of that.
Okay.
So we're meeting on the 8th, and then again, 7 days, the next Monday.
So what I'm seeing here is, it says April 1st. It's moved from the 1st to the 8th.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right,
And
because of that, just like it says for every other holiday. Every other holiday, it says move from that day to
right, but does
another
it
day.
list what holidays?
Oh, you mean you want the name of
I
the
want the-
holiday
right,
listed?
right.
Oh, well, that
it's-
would be a different schedule, the city holidays schedule.
Well, no.
This is our council meeting schedule.
I'm not talking about council meeting. I'm talking about the observed holidays.
Oh, okay, but that's
Yeah.
not this agenda item. This is the city council meeting schedule.
But it also includes the observed holidays.
Well, it's not supposed, okay. Okay, I don't
follow
know,
what
Jimmy,
I'm-
do you want to respond to that, or do you want to just let it go? Okay, let's let that go. All right,
Yeah.
understand.
So I just want
Okay.
I just want them listed because, again, if you're looking at this with our observed holidays, I don't see, we've moved it to April 1st, but that's not listed on here.
We've moved it from April 1st.
Right. So if
Because
we can
April
just
1st
list,
will be a
if we can just
holiday.
list the holidays, and to make sure that we have every holiday listed. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve 8.4.
So
Oh,
moved.
was there public comment?
No public comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I'm sorry, who moved that? Moved by Councilmember
I'll second
Armendariz and seconded by Councilmember Marks.
Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley?
Yes, all right, that passed unanimously with one absent. Okay, that brings us to bids and proposals. We have none. Public hearings, 10.1. Proposed tentative map for a 3-lot subdivision at 7040 Church Street. Application number TM 22-03. And I'm going to start by asking council members if they have any ex parte communications to disclose, starting to my right. No. No. I have none. Okay, none to disclose, and that brings us to Erin. You're going to do this report, yes? Okay.
Thank you. Yes. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Erin Freitas, planner with the Community Development Department. The item before you is a request for a tentative map for a 3-lot subdivision at 7040 Church Street in the R2 zoning district. The property is located on the northeast corner of Church and 10th Street. It's a 0.87-acre lot, currently developed with a single-family historic home, water tank, and accessory structures. The site is surrounded by a vacant lot to the north, single and multifamily homes to the east and west, and multifamily homes to the south. Here are the plans for the proposed 3-lot subdivision. Parcel 1 will include the existing single-family historic home. It will be about 17,000 square feet and keep the existing driveway access off of 10th Street. Parcel 2 will be approximately 10,000 square feet and will also have driveway access from Church Street. And Parcel 3 will be the corner lot around 10,000 square feet and will have driveway access from 10th Street where a driveway already exists. No new construction is proposed at this time. These lots would be zoned R2, so they can individually build either a single-family home or duplex, along with accessory dwelling units. So overall, the proposal complies with all the lot standards. It provides 2 new parcels in the R2 zoning district. The existing historic home and water tank will remain. The project is determined to be exempt from further environmental review from CEQA per section 15315 minor land divisions, and no new development is proposed at this time again. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval to the Council, and staff has not received any public comments on this item. So in conclusion, based on staff's analysis and the conditions of approval, we are recommending that the City Council determine the proposed tentative map is exempt from further environmental review per CEQA guidelines minor land divisions, and adopt a resolution to approve the proposed tentative map to divide the property at 7040 Church Street into 3 residential parcels. And that concludes my presentation. The applicant's team is here if you have any questions as well.
Okay, thank you, Erin. All right, I see a question with Councilmember Armendariz. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. My concern is about the driveway access from 10th Street for the new parcels that would be subdivided. I know that area is incredibly busy, and there's, the lanes merge right near there. It's also basically a school zone, and folks coming off of a retail zone, right? So is there any alternatives, or can staff work with them on alternate driveway access?
Sure. Yeah, staff will be working with them when they submit the improvement plans for this project. At the moment, this is a conceptual location for the driveway, and it was located there to be as far away from the intersection as possible. It is going to be pretty low-intensity development, either a single-family home or duplex, so there wouldn't be a lot of cars, going in and out of that location. But we will be reviewing that thoroughly when the improvement plan comes in, and we're looking at site distance and all the visibility from that location.
Yes. I was at the Planning Commission, and they did bring that up, and it was a direction for them to work with the applicant, the traffic engineer. So it has been flagged as an issue, and to try to minimize the traffic and safety issues there.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for mentioning that. Thank you, Sam. Okay, seeing no questions currently from other council members, I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:02, and I see 2 speakers. Do we have?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 2 speakers currently. It's Musi Verdell, followed by Jose Avila.
Hi, good evening. I'm Amanda Musi Verdell with Hannah Brunetti, representing the owners in the audience. It's a simple 3-lot tentative map. The question about the driveway will be addressed again when we come in for the development of the lot. That was a conceptual location for now, but if there are any questions that I could answer besides that, staff did a wonderful job, so I'm sure there aren't any, but if you do have any, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Here. All right, and the next speaker?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm one of the owners behind the lot right there, the house, the proposal that you guys are, whatever they're doing. So I just want to know what's the plan that they want to do. I know they're trying to divide them into lots. That's going to be for future, I'm pretty sure it's got to be for future either housing, rentals, anything like that. I mean, the problem with our neighborhood is already overpopulated. There is a lot of business about the neighborhood right there. You got a 7-Eleven, you got a liquor store next to the 7-Eleven, you got another restaurant. There is traffic like all day right there. If you go right now after that, there is not even a parking lot right there. There is homeless. There is so that's my concern. I'm like, if they want to do something with that stuff, either I'd prefer that they build something that they can, a house that they can go sell, not for renting. Because when you buy a house, you really take care of your house. Like me, nobody else in here, it does, because all my neighborhood right down the street, we got only 2 owners on the house, on the whole street right there. Everything else is rental. We got apartments on the Eagleberry and 10, like right there. And there is like over the weekend they go crazy. Across the street there is more rentals. The whole is rental right there. So it seems like nobody cares about that stuff, but I do. I got 2 kids, and I like to raise them that way it's supposed to be, and that's my concern.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I really them to have something, that they're really, if they want to do something with the property. I used to know the guys who used to live before right there. I don't even know where they moved. That was really nice.
We all know them. We had campaign signs in their yard.
There was a really nice, I think his name was Richard, I believe, and his wife. I always talk to them. But after that, right now, I don't even know who lives on the house, not anymore. And I like to do you guys do the right thing with the property.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
We absolutely can, but let's let the speaker go.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so no other public speakers?
No other.
Okay, so let me close the public hearing at 7:05. And Councilmember Tovar, you have a
Thank you.
question.
No, and I don't personally have any question, but I want to address the citizens' concerns. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at sort of what the proposal is, but maybe you can kind of give them an overview.
Yeah, I can give more explanation. So, right now it is just for the subdivision. In the future, they would come forward with a development application where the maximum units that they would be able to put on these, there will be 2 new parcels, basically. And the most they could do on each parcel is either 1 single-family home, and there could be either an attached or detached accessory dwelling unit and a junior accessory dwelling unit. And then the corner, so that's a single-family home scenario. Or you could have a duplex, so there'd be 2 single-family homes connected, and they could also have 2 detached accessory dwelling units, as well as could have an internal accessory dwelling unit. So that is what could happen on each of the 2 new parcels. We
Thanks.
can't regulate if they're ownership or rental.
No, I knew that was going to start. Yeah, I'm sorry. She's answering a question really for here. I think the point is that there's a zoning, right? We have zoning laws, and this application is meeting those zoning requirements. It's not that anything can be there. It has to be in accordance with the zoning. And the zoning does allow for a single-family home. It allows for an accessory dwelling unit, attached or detached. Or you could have a duplex, the same thing that applies anywhere throughout the city. So it's not going to be an apartment building. Those are very different things. So it has to be. What I would do if I were the resident is I would take advantage of the fact that the property owners and the architect is here too.
Engineer.
You might want to exchange names and numbers, and you can have direct conversations with what their intentions are. But that's up to you. Or you can keep contacting the city to find out what the status is. But it has to be in accordance with the zoning for that law, for that area. It can't be just whatever somebody wants to do there.
Correct.
Okay?
Thank you, Mayor. And if you mind, maybe you can exchange. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other council members who want to speak on this item?
Move for approval?
Okay, we can do the move approval, but is this I'd like to ask if this motion is for both A and B, because we can do that together.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be a motion to determine that the proposed tentative map is exempt from further environmental review and qualifies for state CEQA guidelines, Class 15 exemption, minor land divisions, because the proposed subdivision results in less than 4 parcels, is in conformance with the city's general plan and zoning, seeks no exceptions or variances, and all necessary services and access to the resulting parcels are available, and adopt a resolution to approve the proposed tentative map to divide the property known as 7040 Church Street, APN 799-11068, into 3 residential parcels. Okay, so that was made by Councilmember Tovar and seconded by Councilmember Klein, and that's a roll call vote.
Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
And Mayor Blankley?
Yes, all right, and that's unanimous with 1 absent. Unfinished business, we have none. Introduction of new business. Gilroy Garlic Festival Memorial repairs and upgrades. Jimmy, do you want to do this report? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The item before you is due to the last 4 years in which the memorial out at Christmas Hill Park on the ranch side, as is included in the staff report, was originally a temporary memorial, and it became the permanent memorial through council action just because there was no real plans that came forward. Over the last few months, I've received quite a few phone calls about how bad shape it looks. So we want, as the staff, want to go forward with some modifications and some improvements to the memorial to make it more durable. But we also understand that this is a very emotional spot. It brings back a lot of horrific memories for the community, for ourselves, and so we felt we should bring it to council to at least get some feedback to see what people feel about this. The basic premise that we would do is we would like to eliminate the ropes from the tree and then put in some general hardscape that is a lot easier to maintain. There are some components out there that just were not really made for the long haul, and that place sits and bakes in the sun all day long. So we're introducing this to council. We appreciate any feedback or anything you've heard from your constituents. We will proceed very cautiously and respectfully, and we believe this is the first step in doing so. So that concludes my report.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'd like to say before we get up to discussion, having been one of the council members who was here when we did this, we absolutely made it permanent. It's a permanent memorial. What we didn't do was realize that some of the materials were not very long-term materials, and that's been the problem. And so we want to make sure that it displays the respect that it was meant to display. And that's why this is coming here before us. There are two things that have happened to it. One is the ropes have completely frayed that went up top. So the question is, do we not have ropes going up and just have a garden? And another is lots of squirrels there that a lot of people have issues with. You can't exactly do anything about that. Certainly not there. You can't put out any kind of anything that could harm kids or animals or anyone that might walk by. So I know I have had discussions with Karen Aitken was the designer. I'd hope she could be here tonight, but this will have to come back to us with however we direct staff. So maybe she can be here then to help us determine what's the best thing to do. Because my personal opinion to make this easy is not have anything go up, have just a memorial garden, and put up something like a 3-foot by 3-foot concrete square monument on a pedestal, that identifies this as the Gilroy Garlic Festival Memorial Garden, and put the date, July 28, 2019, on it, and have a little statement at the bottom that says, in memory and honor of those whose lives were forever changed. But that's what we're here to discuss, so sign up here if you want to say something. But what we're here to do is try to give direction to staff so that Jimmy isn't feeling like staff is making their own decisions on what to do with something that is very, very sensitive. Mm-hmm. But that we want to make sure always looks respectful. Yep. Yeah. So, yes, I have my name up. Oh, why don't I see it? I'm sorry. I'm on the thing and it's not showing up, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Would it be too much? I like your ideas, Mayor. I think we definitely need a memorial plaque, right? So folks understand, and we can help set the tone for how that garden is treated. Would it be too much to ask the community for some ideas to engage the community? Because I think folks are quick to respond and complain to us, but I'd like folks to put on their heart and mind hat and propose some ideas.
Well, I think, that's it. We don't want to recreate this. This was already done by the prior council to make this a permanent memorial as it is. Mm-hmm. Whatever we direct staff to do here, they will come back with whatever, because right now what's in the packet doesn't give anybody in the public any clue as to what we're talking about. So they'd have to come back with what that is, what that would look like, and that would be that would be the time for members of the public who have an opinion or want to say something about that to be able to speak and do something. But otherwise, no, it's not meant to be the recreation of anything, just to make use more permanent materials now that we know what happened to the materials that didn't last and the effort it takes to stay on top of it when we want this to look respectful 365 days a year if we can. And we would also have, like I said, Karen Aitken, who designed the garden, be present when it comes back. But that's just my answer to your
Okay. Are there any
question.
preliminary sketches or anything?
I don't think so. Okay. I mean, I just did my own, but that's just my own, my little little monument thing. That's nothing official.
The
Okay.
monument's important, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Councilmember Tovar, I see you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, thank you, Councilmember Medeiros, for asking that question. I had a chance to reach out to one of the victims' families, and as the mayor said, I could not give detail in regards to this thing. We're going to vote on this, and from then on, we'll have further discussion. And they felt that once we get to that point, then they'd give feedback. And I think it's important for us to get their feedback as well. But just as you explained it, is what I kind of explained it to them as well. So
great.
Yeah, they appreciate us reaching out to them. So
okay.
I know for myself, just like all of us, and experiencing that whole process. Not only should the roast be removed, I really think the trees should be removed too. If we're going to make it a garden, removing that, and I know that was there before anyway, it wasn't part of what was set up.
Yeah.
I think that would go a long way to really making it easier to maintain. I think the idea is the long-term approach should be what's best to keep the memorial updated by a combination of staff, Park Commission, and those in the community who want to be a part of this. And I think making that available to them. And so bringing it back, a conceptual drawing like with Karen and putting her input with that, I think would be a good way to go to make it happen and make it available to public for public comment here in the meeting.
Exactly. So yeah, the tree was something that in her original design she had asked to remove, but it was there, and that's how the ideas came. And the thing with the tree is it requires special equipment to reach to keep those dead branches off. Whereas if we just had the garden below, it would be easy for local garden clubs. Anybody could walk by, pull weeds, and feel a sense of accomplishment. And you could leave the garden looking so much better than when you got there. But you can't do that when you've got this tree with dead palm things on it that you can't reach. So
I know what staff has done. They've done some mitigation out there out by today, and so they've made it look a little better. But I think there's a lot to go to get it to really look the way we want it. So.
Yeah.
And I understand Councilmember Klein's suggestions or thoughts, but again, I think that's a further discussion we have to have, obviously, because we're a tree city, and I think some people are very sensitive to.
Well, I don't know if people would think that tree is a
Right.
particular tree.
No, I know.
It's not a very beautiful tree.
I agree.
At
but
all.
Again, I think by having public comments, I think that'll help us get to that point.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have, what is our direction to staff then, to come back with something drawn that includes like a monument on a pedestal thing like I read?
And if we're going to explore removing a tree, we could replace it with 3 trees, right, representing their lives. Yeah.
Yeah, we absolutely could,
might
as long as they're
mitigate them.
trees that are, I've heard people say crepe myrtles are not trees, but I mean trees that people can, that you don't need big special equipment to maintain.
And provide shade, and
Yeah, I mean, there are other things out there that mark the 3, so I guess what we're saying, I mean, is there a council majority that wants to see 3 trees out there?
I think if we're going to remove one, we should replace it with 3 to
Yeah, no, I would agree
symbolize
with
those
that.
lives. Yeah.
And again, be a tree that's maintainable, obviously, and like
Yeah.
as mentioned, but to get rid of a tree completely,
It's a palm tree, though, you guys. Just so,
It's
okay.
still a tree.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to see what they come back to. I think and to have options there, not just say, okay, we get rid of one. And bring
Okay,
it to
so the
I'd like
direction then, correct me if I'm wrong, our direction then is to come back with, a garden only. Trees can be part of that, a tree or multiple trees, but it's garden only, nothing's going up, okay? And it will include a monument.
Yes.
And whether it's hardscape, whatever is necessary to help control the squirrels, that would make it harder for squirrels to break through.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay, or not. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Does that pretty much capture what we want?
I could just picture also like a permanent bench there.
Yes, that's what I was
How
gonna say.
expensive would that be?
I don't know. We can ask staff to come back with a bench.
It can even be where benches like we have, people can donate for a bench or something. Depending on the
Okay,
cost.
so and a bench.
Yeah.
This is excellent feedback. We'll come back with a few options, and then you can tweak it as you wish.
Yeah, and that'll be then easier for public comment too, because they'll see what the suggestion is, what we're discussing.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
And I don't think there's any direction that the designer, Karen A, can be the lead on this. I just will ask her to be present at the meeting to give her comments, because I
Yes.
think we might all like to hear that. That's all. Okay, good?
Madam
All right,
Mayor?
moving on.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Speaking of public comment, we do still need to take public comment on this item as
Okay,
well.
do we have any public comment?
I have no speaker cards on
Okay,
this.
thank you. No public comment. All right, item 13, city administrators reports.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a pretty long report, but we're moving along pretty briskly here, so I will make sure to get to everything. First and foremost, I wanted to let council know that we received the final clearance letter for the Surplus Lands Act for the Gilroy Gardens. All 536 acres have been put through the Surplus Land Act process, and the city is free to do with the property as they wish going forward. To date, we have 2 interested parties in developing the area. I have nothing in writing, nothing formal, just a lot of ideas and a lot of things that they'll be talking to city staff about, and we'll also be talking to the the Gardens board members as well before we get anywhere down the road and have something to propose to council. But that project is moving along, and we have some pretty interesting ideas that we're going to be excited to share with you at some point. Second, Gourmet Alley. This is for you, Mr. Kirkish. We will be sending out the bids for the Gourmet Alley project on October 10th. And on November 20th, the City Council will be awarding a contract. This particular project has 112 days of construction, so it's less than 3 months. So given that schedule, even if we had El Nino, La Nina, whatever our meteorologists tend to tell us, we expect the project to be completed by the end of April. That gives us 55 days of float time. So that's, if you're not familiar with float time, it's days of lost construction work. So we're confident we will be able to get this done on time. We are taking measures to help offset the issues we have with supply chain. Supply chain has really hurt our development of the pop-up park, and we are not wanting to repeat that. So we are looking at ordering supplies now and making sure that that's not the holdup. But this schedule, which will be going up on the city's website, much like the 7th and Eagleberry parking lot, we had a page where you could see what was going on, you could see the daily construction, and you could see exactly where we're at in the process. We'll be up pretty soon, and very easy to see how we're doing and how we will make our deadline for June 30th. There was the question, I believe, about an extension. We aren't aware of a formal program yet that has an extension, but we certainly will ask just to know if it's out there. But given the float time we have in the actual construction schedule, we don't anticipate that'll be necessary.
It's a state grant, right, Jimmy?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Caltrans.
Yeah. So if there was inclement weather problems, natural disasters, it's not unheard of that they give us an extension.
It is not unheard of, and I think one thing that puts us in a little bit different position is that we received the largest grant in the state, so we didn't receive like $10,000 to change out signs in a park. We're doing construction.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think we'll need to go that direction. I think there's plenty of time in the schedule, but we would certainly engage our state representatives if we were having any issues.
Jimmy, yeah, and thank you, Mr. Kirkish, for bringing that up. And what the discussion, and my hope, and you're saying it, but my hope again is that we're not hoping for an extension. We're really moving forward and being aggressive and trying to get this done sooner than later. So,
I do not want an extension.
Yeah, good.
I agree with you. Okay. Next, I have a few other items here on here. I want to just give an update about the highly successful Love Gilroy Fight Dirty campaign. To date, we have had 6 events. We've been at downtown Los Alamos Park. We did a graffiti cleanup, San Ysidro Park, and then downtown. And then we also did Uvas Creek, Christmas Hill Park. We're averaging about 20, 25 volunteers an event. Usually stay for about an hour and a half. And we don't weigh the garbage because we put it in these buckets, but we can tell you some of these we've gotten 210, 230 gallons of garbage. And so every little bit helps, but I think I've seen everybody here, at least at one event, or certainly supporting the program. So we will continue on with it. Upcoming over the next few months, we will be out at the sports park. And if you have any ideas of a place that you would like us to go, we're willing to go anywhere, anytime on Saturday mornings, and bring your dog, bring your kids. But it's a really nice way to say you're doing something for your community, and the program has been extremely successful. The other part of that is that the city will be reinitiating the Adopt a Spot program. I've been asked about this quite a bit. Back in the day, I can't remember the years, there are signs throughout town that show different groups and schools and civic groups who adopt certain spots of the city, and they do cleanups at those spots or parks or what have you. And that program really, right before COVID, kind of died down and really never got going again. So we're restarting it, and over the next couple months, we'll have an application process for entities that want to volunteer to keep those spots clean, and I hope them continue to look pretty, and so please be on the lookout for that. Okay, getting on to the stuff I have on the actual agenda. Gilroy Cares, I just wanted to let council know that our HR department has initiated a mental health awareness program called Gilroy Cares, and it is a program designed to really focus on the mental health of our employees. It's something that for those of us who've been in this career a long time, never really has been done before. I think agencies and cities and companies are becoming more and more aware that being sick doesn't just mean you have a cold. It could be a mental health issue, and I think in society we're seeing the results of when we don't address those issues. So I'm very proud of our department in HR for doing that, and part of this is creating walking paths, showing our employees places they can go, where they can walk to get away. We have scheduled calm sessions. I'm signed up for 3 of those. And then other things like Energize Your Mind, just a bunch of really nice activities that you can do on your own, on your computer, or you can do in a group depending on how you feel. But that's a really good activity, and our police department too has been doing a lot of work on officer wellness and mental health training. So we're all trying to do better in this area, and really excited to share this with our employees as well. The last item I have for an update for you is our Community Development Director, Shannon Grohe, is going to give you a quick update about downtown, or not just downtown, I shouldn't say downtown, sidewalk vending ordinance enforcement. We have started the ramp up for that, and so Sharon's going to give you an update of what's coming up in the next couple weeks.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and members of the community. Since Council adopted the ordinance on August 21st, our team has been developing a program to implement the ordinance. We've been creating the forms and the handouts and all the outreach materials, developing a website. Our plan is for the website to go live next week. We also plan, as far as the field, to have some A-frames out there with signage on it and a QR code that will take you to the website for more detailed information. After displaying that for several days, next weekend, then that's when we'll start in-person outreach to the businesses, and any vendors, and actually talking to them in person to explain the requirements and the rules. Our plan for the outreach and education phase is from next week till about the first week of October. And then beginning the first weekend of October, we plan to start conducting active enforcement. This is going to be citywide, and that's when we'll be looking at issuing citations if people still don't comply.
Okay, Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Sharon. So I think you know what I'm going to ask, so I'm going to ask it anyways. So in regards to the QR codes, and you also mentioned talking with the business owners, correct? And as I mentioned earlier, was this going to be in English, Spanish? Is somebody from the city going to go with you that speaks Spanish and talk to the business owners so they can completely understand?
Yes, that's the plan. And the materials, too.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be bilingual.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. See me? Sorry? You see me? No, but go ahead. Yeah? Okay. And will there be a city staff person in office who's also bilingual?
We'll be pairing the staff person now with a bilingual staff person.
Great. And then can you repeat the dates where active enforcement will begin?
The first weekend, so I think Friday is October 6th. October 7th is Saturday.
And who will staff the enforcement team?
Yeah, right now our main lead person will be Dennis Castro, our code enforcement officer, and then we'll be pairing them, with other staff members.
Do the other staff members include police officers?
We actually have a meeting about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes. It will have to in the initial stages. We will have police, we will fire marshal, we will have code enforcement, and then some of us other staff members will be out there too, just there to support, help, and try to get people to get the permitting process as easy as possible.
Yeah, because from what I understood in the spirit of this ordinance is that it wasn't about, the first phases, of course, weren't going to be about punishment or penalties, right, but about folks understanding. And so I'm afraid of what that, the optics of that are going to be and how the vendors and community members are going to feel seeing those folks approaching them.
Well, we have learned that if we do not have police officers out there and try to do code enforcement, it's not effective. They will essentially, this has been our experience, we've essentially had people say they're not doing anything or they're not moving. And so that puts the code enforcement officer in a bad position. And if it gets to that point, that is because those individuals have ignored every warning before. We
didn't have an ordinance before.
But we do effective September 20th.
Right.
And so for those 2 weeks, like Sharon was discussing, we will be informing them and telling them that this is what you need to do to become in compliance. We don't want to cite people. We want them to comply. We want them to follow the ordinance. And I don't expect that there'll be issues with people not doing that. But we have some bad history that makes us a little cautious about sending just a code enforcement officer out there.
Okay. Will there be any other? I mean, the outreach effort is going to be one-on-one, direct, right? Direct
Yes.
Outreach. Will there be any other community meetings or efforts at City Hall?
We're planning to also look at an outreach meeting, most likely at City Hall, and we've been trying to get answers back from the county health department because we think that would be really helpful if we have a representative from Santa Clara County Health too, so they can explain the process about their permits. And we've been trying that for a while, and we'll continue to do that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Anyone else? Since I found you under 3.1. I don't know why it didn't show up on under 13.3. I mean, it's 13.1. Anyone else have any questions? No? Okay. Jimmy, thank you very much for that report. Okay, City Attorney's report? Anything? Okay, then that brings us to closed session. So, Jolie, do you want to take us in?
We don't have to do the admonition before we go in, but when we go in, we need to vote that we're going to stay in, since this isn't pending or litigation.
Okay. Any public comment?
No public comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then with that, how about we take a 5-minute break so that everything can close down and we can prepare for closed session. All right, thank you, everybody.